In today's video, we'll be drawing a neo-traditional style rose. What's happening, guys? I'm Daggett. This is Daggett Designs. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we'll be drawing a neo-traditional style rose. So I thought we would change the content a little bit and do something a little bit different for once. We're always doing Japanese and traditional style stuff, so let's do some neo-traditional style things. And I might do a bit of new school stuff as well. So I just want to mix it up a little bit. I'll of course still be doing Japanese and traditional style designs as well. So with that having been said, let's jump straight into today's video by going to the overhead. Okay guys, welcome back to the table. So like I said, in today's video, we're doing a neo-traditional style rose. And these are the materials and supplies that you'll need. I've got a piece of sketch paper. It's A3, but I folded it down to A4, so any A4 size sketch paper will work. I've also got Fabriano cold pressed watercolor paper. This is 300 GSM and 25% cotton, and it's a medium sort of tooth. So depending on the medium that you're working with, you can choose a suitable paper. I've also got Liquitex Acrylic Inks. These are my preferred painting inks. There is a link in the description down below where you can purchase these, and it is an affiliate link, so I do get a small commission. Please purchase from that link if you do choose to buy some acrylic inks. They are absolutely fantastic. However, if you're using different medium, of course you're going to use a different type of paper. I've also got a mechanical pencil. You can use a regular lead pencil if you'd like for sketching, and an eraser in case we make mistakes. And we're doing a bit of a border on this one, so I've just got some 2-inch masking tape as well. So whatever masking tape you'd like to use. Okay, so to start this one out, I'm going to mark out a rough 2-inch border just so I know roughly where my masking tape's going to sit. We are going to go outside of our borders, so don't worry about that too much. But I just want to drop in some rough guidelines. And to start this one out, we're going to draw in a little oval shape or a little egg shape. Just like that. And I want to put in space for some of the leaves to begin with, because we're going to have like a nice dynamic sort of burst look with the leaves. So we're going to come out from sort of the center point of our main flower bud with a little curved line that comes out like that. And we're going to start sort of small at the base of this, curve out and then back in like that. And we'll add another one behind here, starting small, curving out and into that sort of center line. And you can just add as many of these leaves as you would like for your design. We'll add another one up the top here, like this. And we're going to do some leaves towards the bottom here that are a little bit different. So for the leaves at the bottom here, they're actually going to be folded over and sort of facing us. So I'm going to cut a line across like this and add a little bit of a center to it. And from that center, I'm just going to come down and flick off to the right a little bit with a very slight S curve. Okay. Coming from this edge here, I'm going to come in and join to that tip. And from the other side, we're going to do the same thing. And then to join the top up, we're going to simply dip down and come back up to center, and dip down and come back up like that. Okay, so the leaf is folded over and somewhat facing us. We're going to do another one to this side. It's going to be on slight more of an angle. So put in a little curve line like this. We'll drop a curved center line like this. The center vein is going to be curved and coming out like this. Bring a line from this end around and into the center, and around and into the center on the other side there as well. I'm going to add another slight variation on our leaves to this side here. We're just going to do the center vein like that, and we're going to add in one side of it like this. We're only going to add a very small amount of the other side because it's folded over and we're not seeing too much of it. Now I'm going to add some shadow leaves in as well, so you can go ahead and draw in the main shape for your leaf. And these are going to be a little bit smaller than your other leaves, and we're going to do them as shadow leaves, so they're pushed back a little bit into the background. I'm going to add a couple towards the top here as well. Just like that. and another little one just coming out this way as well. Now I just want to mention that adding your leaves in at this beginning stage is quite optional. I know a lot of people won't do this. They'll draw the center of the rose first and then fit the leaves around the rose. Depending on the design that I'm doing, sometimes I will add the leaves first. That way I have a good sort of shape and foundation for where I want the petals to sit and where I want everything to sit within the confines of our design. So to start putting in the petals. So when we're doing stuff that is neo-traditional, or at least in this particular style of neo-traditional, I want to have things that look quite angular, and the ends of our petals, I want to curve them off into like little peaks or little points. And this is to give them a little bit more of a realistic sort of look, and you can add a little bit more detail and shape to your foldovers and your petals by adding these little cuts and sort of divots and cracks and things like that into them. Just coming down from under this shape that we drew. So sorry, that was just a curved line with a fold over. I'm going to come from the outside edge curving down and follow the same thing on the other side coming down. And I'm going to bring another sort of folded over edge sweeping up in this direction. And we'll add a little fold over in just like that. Okay, from here we're going to add another sort of folded curve that comes down like this. And you can of course draw all of your curve lines in before adding the foldovers. It depends how you want to work and what works well for you. So we're coming in here, adding another fold over. And then this circle that we drew underneath really helps you join this up, because all you have to do now is drop a line down up to your next fold over line and it'll sit inside of this bigger petal. Right, so that sort of creates the folds of your rose. Coming out on this side, I'm going to whip this one up a little bit and follow that around. And then again, just follow our little circle sort of guideline down to the next line of our fold over there. From here, we're going to create like the center area of our rosebud. So just creating a fold over that comes out and then curves back in like this. You can draw in the actual folded over portion of that and join that up to our main sort of oval shape there. And we'll do another one coming from the other side. I think we'll do more of a peak on this side like that. And our fold over will come down in that manner. And on the inside of this, I just want to do these little sort of diamond or scale shapes. They're just like little curved sort of peak lines. Okay, coming down to our main front petal here. This is going to be sort of the biggest petal at the front. We're going to bring a line that cuts straight across the bottom of our main rosebud here. Just like that. And it's actually going to cut off the very bottom of this fold over as well. That's going to be sitting on the inside of this petal. And we're going to bring a line up following the direction of our curved line. Once it sort of passes that curved point, you can bring it out. So we'll come out like this. I want to add a little bit of a point to the end of this. So coming back in. And then you can do a little wavy line like this. Now feel free at this point to just add in little details and little sort of peaks and points and tears in the leaves there, in the petals there, sorry. I want to do another little point on the end of this one, so just curling it around and coming back. And we'll start to bring it back towards the base area of the petal here. You can add in a few more details if you'd like. I'll add another little curve in, come up. When we reach the end of this curved line, we're going to drop it back down. So the idea is that there's a pit here, right? And it comes out and folds over to the outside. So in here will be sort of a shaded dark area on the inside there. We're going to continue this by adding another petal underneath this. So just coming down, I'll smoothly sort of curve this one off and up. And I want to add another little peak or point to this bit. So coming back like that. We're going to come up and drop it sharply back down towards the center of our rose there. and then add a little curved line in on this one as well. That little curved line is the same as this little trough or dip in the petal that's going to create that sort of curved look and give this design a bit of depth. Moving on to this side here, we're going to start another peak at the top here. And I actually want to overlap this one with our front petal, so I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to come out from behind the front petal here, create a little peak and bring it back. And then from the other side, I think I want to bring it down, do a little dip, and then curve around. And of course, we can go ahead and put in our little curved line. And if you'd like to drop in a bit of shading to make it easier to follow, you can go ahead and do that as well. And coming around to the back here, we're going to do another petal, just coming out, adding in these peak lines, and just following them around. Now, of course, you can do these lines a little bit smoother. You can do like curved petals. You can do whatever style petals you'd like, really. Like I said, this is more of a neo-traditional style, trying to sort of stylize things a bit, make them look a little bit different, and it takes them out of that realm, I think, of doing like really sort of smooth, bubbly looking things with real solid sort of shape to them, and it makes them look a little bit more flowy and organic. Coming down here, we've got this big empty space, so we're going to fit another petal into here. I'm going to come out from under our main sort of petal here, bring a line out to a little peak, and I'm going to bring that out, add a bit of roughness to our shape here, adding another little peak, and just constantly adding these little bits of detail as you go along too. Bring that line back in, and of course you can add another little curved line, and if you'd like to, just a bit of shading that will help you later on in following this one along. To add detail to your leaves, again, I want to have those sort of curved sort of ends like this. So I'm going to bring that center down like that. I'm going to bring a curved line to this edge and add a little peak or a little point. And you add another one. And you can keep this pretty rough, just coming around and adding in these little points where you'd like to have them. And then instead of doing straight lines for the veins, we're going to come in and S-curve those lines, okay? Like this. You can double up on some of them, but you're essentially going to S-curve all of your lines like that, and that'll give them a little bit more of that natural sort of waviness. These are the shadow leaves or the background leaves, so you can give them a bit of an outline shape, but otherwise sort of just leave them as is. Okay, while I go through and finish off these leaves, I just wanted to make a point of saying that neo-traditional basically, as far as my understanding goes, is just taking traditional design elements and making them a little bit more modern. So basically, there's sort of two ways that I define it. The first would be using traditional subject matter that is sort of classic in the American traditional or pretty much any traditional tattooing, and then applying modern techniques and modern design principles that sort of give it a little bit more of a fresh look and sort of change it up a little bit. So that would be one way to sort of define it. And the other way I think it can be done really nicely is to take more modern ideas and subject matter and make them look traditional. So these are sort of the two things that in my mind encompass neo-traditional designs. That has a lot to do with color palette. Traditional tattoos had a very limited color palette, and you didn't have that many colors to sort of work with. Neo-traditional allows you to work with a much broader range of colors and a lot more color blending. And I think that they have a little bit more of a dynamic sort of feel to them. A lot of the time they border on being realism with a heavy black outline or really sort of graphic illustration work. And that's because they're taking a lot of the time a more realistic approach to the drawing and how it comes about. So it's more of an illustrative style, but it's still tattooed in a traditional manner. So using thick, bold outlines, they still have a heavy use of black shading, and they still apply their color really solid. They don't do any sort of pastel-y things most of the time. So I think they're really good hallmarks for what neo-traditional design encompasses. Anyways, we've finished our sketch, so I'm going to go ahead and move this onto some watercolor paper, and I will see you in the next part. Alright, so I finished the outline, and I just masked the edges of our page off using that 2-inch masking tape. This will give us an inside border to work with. I just want to take a moment to mention the line work aspect of this. So doing neo-traditional designs, I try to have a varied line width all the time. So I'm having like really thick bold lines for the main areas of our subject matter, and then adding these real thin detail lines using a much smaller liner. And this is sort of, I think, another trademark of the neo-traditional style design is still having those really bold lines like traditional tattoos so that it has that real sticker-like and striking effect. However, you use really fine lines to add a whole bunch of detail that otherwise wouldn't be there within traditional tattoo styles. So I think that's another really important element to consider when you're designing neo-traditional tattoos. So we're going to go ahead and do a background for this one. I want to do something really simple that I think will contrast and sort of bounce really well with what we're doing. So I thought, let's try and do a solid black background. Okay, I'm not 100% sure how this is going to turn out, but we'll give it a go. So I'm using Liquitex Carbon Black here. And I'm just going to go ahead and start filling in areas of black that are behind our rose, and just up to the border there where we have the masking tape. And I'm just going in with solid black. I'm not doing any blending or shading. And like I said, I'm not 100% sure how this is going to look. It might not look great, but I think it could look really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And you can of course follow along. If you're doing this with different mediums, of course you'll have to substitute for this and find what works well for you. You could do a coffee or tea stain background like I did in this week's paint along video. It just depends how you would like to do it. This is also going to change how I was going to do the shadow petals or shadow leaves in the background. Normally I would shade those solid black. In the case that we're doing a solid black background, I may leave them as white, sort of like a silhouette, sort of white silhouettes. Or you can go ahead and add a bit of color to them. We'll see how it comes along and we'll make our decisions at a later point. Once you've done your solid black background, you can go ahead and just carefully remove all of your masking tape. Okay, once you've taken your masking tape off and you're ready to paint basically, we've got a few different colors here. They're all in the Liquitex Acrylic Ink range, but I have preloaded my palette. I've got carbon black, of course, we just did the background carbon black, and we're going to do our black shading in a moment. I've got orange yellow, which is going to be the main color for our flower. I've got our vivid red orange, and it's mixed with a little bit of the orange yellow, and this is to do more of our dark sort of shadow tones. And I also have some muted pink with a drop of dioxazine purple in it. And this will give us a nice sort of violet color that I want to use for the leaves. So like I said, with neo-traditional styles, you can get a bit more creative with your color palette and use colors that may not have been available in the traditional sort of style of tattooing. I have Taklon synthetic brushes. I've got a size 5. That's the smallest one that I use for laying down inks. And I've got 2 blending brushes. I've got a 6 and a number 8. And these are just for different, covering different areas of paint. I've also got a glass of water that I'm using for blending and for washing out our brushes. Okay, so to start our black shading, essentially what we're going to do is shade the inside of our little circle portions on the petals. So just coming into those little circle areas with a little bit of carbon black towards the sort of corner areas, the outer areas, and then blending it towards the middle with our blending brush to get a sort of mid-gray tone. You want these areas to be fairly dark, but you do want to be able to lay some color over the top of them, so don't go in just with solid black. A little bit of carbon black around that edge there, and then blending that with our blending brush and bringing it forward to a gray to complete that little circle area. And you can blend a little bit to the outside of this as well, where that sort of break portion is. For the sections that break open, such as this one, we will take a bit of carbon black and come in at the very base sort of area of it like this. And then you can take your blending brush and blend that forward to get your grey tone, like this. And as you bring it up, you're going to bring it up and around, and you can even bring that slightly out. You just want to use a really light tone at the end there by adding water. So you want it sort of the darkest points to be on the inside of that curved line. Now at this point you can add a little bit of black underneath your first sort of big fold over here, just like that. And then with your blending brush you can just blend that on down. Coming into this little corner here, using a bit of our carbon black, like that. Get some water on your brush and blend that out towards the outside area of the petal. Again, trying to transition from black to white in the smoothest way possible. And I will jump up a little bit from there as well to this next little section, just adding a touch of our black in there. And just blending that forward as well. Now when it comes to doing this other side, I just want to put a little bit of carbon black underneath our fold over here. And we will blend that down and just back towards the central sort of point of our flower. Transitioning from black to grey to white again. For the inside portion of the flower, I'm going to do just a little dot of carbon black on the inside there. And you can blend that up, out and around like this. You can do the same thing on the other bit, just a little bit of black and blending that up and bringing it around just a little bit like this. And for those little bits on the inside, you can either do a bit of shading on those, but you don't have to. I like to just do a little dot at the very bottom of the first one and bring a little bit of grey shading up through there. Not a lot. You can do this for all of them if you'd like. Just a little dot of black in the corner and a little bit of grey shading up onto those small petals. Okay, once you've done the shading in the main part of the body of the flower there, you can do a little bit of shading in the petals themselves, and I like to do this off the tips of some of the petals. You don't have to do it for all of them, but I will give you an example on one of our main petals here. Because we've done a black background, you want to be careful not to clash with the background. So obviously not doing this style of shading on petals that are clashing with the background there. So I'm just going to add a bit of black to the tip of this petal, like so. Take a little bit of water on our brush. I'm going to blend that up and gently around like this, just following the curved sort of shape of our petal. And that'll give you a nice dark little folded over portion of your petal. We'll do the same for this outside one here because it's not clashing with our background at all. So this would be a good one to work with. Just bringing that black up to the main part of our petal and then following the grey shading around the main curvature of the edge of our petal. And if we get that, just that edge area of our petal with the grey, it makes it look like the edge is slightly rolling outwards, and that's really sort of what we want here. So feel free to make up a little bit of grey wash and do those edges just using grey wash, and this can avoid your problem with the black at a later stage. Once you've done those few folded over areas, we can go ahead and take a bit of grey wash. I've just made up a bit of grey wash by diluting a bit of black in some water. And you can go ahead and fill in some more edges where you'd like to have that sort of really soft shadow tone coming around that edge where you didn't necessarily want to have harsh black on that edge. So I'm just going in and adding those shadow tones in, and you can use whatever sort of grey wash you'd like for this, whether you want a really light one or something a little bit darker. Depends on your background too. So I'm just coming in, and you always want to sort of follow the petal shape, and doing that will make it look curved and rounded once you've applied your shading. Okay, once you've done this, we can do the black shading for the leaves. So the leaves we're going to do in a little bit of a different style to how we would normally do them. I'm going to come in and start with this leaf to give you an example. So starting with the side of the leaf that's closest to us, you're going to go ahead and do a bit of black shading off of the center line. So coming in off the center line like this with a bit of black. You can then take your blending brush and blend that shade off. Coming forward with our grey now towards the edge of the flower. And then I'm going to flip my page around, and we're going to do a little bit of black from the tip on the opposite side, just coming back toward the back of our leaf there. Using the same technique just to blend it out. And you're basically going to do this sort of opposite style shading on all of your leaves. So the frontmost portion of your leaf will be black from the center base outwards, and the back portion of your leaf, the part that's less visible, will be black from the tip backwards. You're going to do that for all of your main leaves. For our curved leaves, you're going to do a similar technique, but you're going to leave a bit of a white lip or border around them because of our black background. If you did a different color background, you can go ahead and do them as normal. Now, once you've finished the shading on your leaves, we can go ahead and start adding our colors. So I'm going to start by coloring our leaves, and we're going to use that muted pink mixed with dioxazine purple, using that color. And you're basically going to go, this is very similar to how we normally shade. You're just going over the top of your blacks and your grays towards the outside edge. And then take a little bit of water on your blending brush. And I just want to blend towards that outside edge. Blend to white. And that'll give you like a nice highlight off the edge there. So I'm going to come in from the other side of this leaf now. Coming back with that purpley pink sort of color. And then just blending back. And this gives us a nice muted sort of color that is going to contrast really nicely with our main area of subject matter, our main focus. So again, just coming in, load your brush up nice and heavily, coming in over the top of your blacks and your grays, and bringing that color down and towards your edges. And then take a blending brush, blend those edges out towards white. Okay, once you've done your leaves with that muted sort of pink color, and for the shadow leaves, I ended up just doing pink over the top of them and bringing that down into the black shading. So that's actually worked out really nicely, and I actually think it looks better than what I originally had in mind. So sometimes mistakes can be a happy accident, as those of you who know Bob Ross would say. We're going to go ahead and jump into coloring the main flower now. So for all of your dark black and grey areas, you're going to go and use your orange sort of color, and you're going to lay that over the top of your blacks and your greys, and it's actually going to mute it out a little bit. So I'm going to start with that little area up there, going over the top of our black and our grey, and bringing it down to that edge where it folds over. And then we're going to just blend that back towards the sort of center of the petal. That's going to give us a nice yellowy tone to blend into after. And you're going to do this for all of your areas that have shadow around them, including these little circle bits. So you're going to do that orange on the inside of those circle bits. And I'll come up to the very edge of those. And then just continue by blending those around. Now the very last thing you're going to do once you've shaded or colored, over the top of all of your black shading, is you're going to come down to these little circular parts and you're going to take a little bit of orange yellow and just leave a little tiny white gap along the top of that line. Paint a little bit of color, and then you can gently just blend that down. Okay, and you're going to do this for all sections that have those little curved areas. So we'll come across to this side as well, taking our yellow orange, doing that little curved area, making sure to leave a little white lip, and then blending that yellow down into our highlight area. And you can go ahead and do that for all of your petals. And that, my friends, is basically it. That's how we draw a neo-traditional style rose. And I really hope you like the colors on this one. I'm really stoked the way that it came out. By doing the color sort of blending method, by following our black shading and following the shape of the petal, you can see that it leaves these really natural white highlights at the center of the petals. And this looks really nice and makes it look really glossy and sort of has a shiny sort of finish to it. Anyways, that's it for this one. That is it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys give this one a go yourself. Our neo-traditional design came out really nice. I think the rose looks really pretty and has really nice colors to it. I think they contrast and bounce off each other really well. Make sure to head over to Facebook and Instagram. Check out both of them. Give me a follow and a like. And make sure to stay up to date with all of my video updates that I put through Instagram and Facebook. And I also post some behind the scenes work and original paintings as well. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below letting me know what you'd like to see in future videos, what kind of tutorials, art challenges, or general art videos you would like to see. And most importantly, guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video when they come out. Oh, and one more thing, if you are a member of my channel, first off, thank you so much for the support. The line work and the sort of sketch for this particular tutorial is in your class notes folder of your YouTube membership. With that having been said, that's it for today's video, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep up the drawing, keep up the painting, and I'll see you later. Bye.